To another, number 5, miraculous powers. This is a gift now. God gives certain people to work in the realm of miraculous powers. When we talk about miraculous powers, we're talking about supernatural powers. Powers that are above the natural realm. Powers that we have that are above our own abilities. Powers to do things that we could not normally do within ourselves. We do it through the power of God. Miraculous power. To another, number 6 is prophecy. Usually when we hear this gift, prophecy, referred to, we think of telling the future, telling what's going to happen down the road. But it's much broader than that. It can include, God has a word for us about the future, then that can be prophecy. But the gift of prophecy, the whole concept of prophecy is someone speaking for God. God gives them a message, gives them something that we need to hear, and they say it, they speak it to us, and we receive it. It's the gift of prophecy. And it's not necessarily something about the future. It can be something today, something we need to hear, something today. We need to act today, something we need to do today is the gift of prophecy. I'd like to stay there. Prophecy. To another, this is number 7, distinguishing between spirits. That's number 7. The gift of being able to distinguish between spirits. What's going on here? A person who God gives this gift at the moment of time, when it is needed, they're able to discern what spirit is being used or being acted upon. You see, there's three main spirits that we can act under or being influenced by. One is the Spirit of God, of course, which is the best. We're influenced by the Spirit of God. The other is the spirit of Satan. It's satanic spirits. That's very real. And the other is the spirit of ourself, the spirit of man. It's just your own spirit. It's our own spirit. So you have the Spirit of God, the spirit of Satan, and the spirit of man. And sometimes we don't know, when we hear someone saying something or acting in a certain way, we may not know what spirit is this person working under. Who are they listening to? Is it just them? Is this just emotions? Is it just the flesh? Or is this of God? Is God really speaking to them? Or in the way they are acting? Or is it satanic? Is there a demon at work here? The person who has this gift has the ability to discern which of the gifts a person is speaking under, acting under, whatever they may do. We have the ability to distinguish what spirit is being used here. And that's a very important gift. Number 8 is to another, speaking in different kinds of tongues. We have mentioned that. It's the gift that God gives, the ability that God gives to a person to speak. Maybe a word to us with an interpretation, and interpretation is the 9th gift, and to still another, the interpretation of tongues. Those are 9 of the gifts, but they are not all of them. In Romans chapter 12, there are 7 other gifts. And I'm glad this Romans 7 or 12 is given, these 7 more, because we probably would leave some of these out. But in Romans 12 and verses 6 and 7, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, now this is a repeating. If you have the gift of prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. Number 2, if it is serving, this is a gift. Serving. Some people enjoy serving. You see them serving the body, serving in a worship service, serving people. They love serving others. And it's a beautiful gift. It is so needed in the body, in our world. Someone who just loves serving. These are kinds of people who serve. They do not wait for someone to give them thank you, oh thank you. They're not concerned about that. They just serve. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. Now there is a difference. I hope you understand. There is a difference in preaching and teaching. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the two. But you know, when it speaks of Jesus' ministry, in 2 or 3 places, it said Jesus did 3 things in his ministry. 3 things. He went from village to village, town to town, healing, teaching, and preaching. The 3 distinct ministries. He said this is basically what Jesus did. He healed people, he taught them, and he preached. So there is a difference. You know, if you have the gift of teaching, someone should be learning from you. If they're not learning anything from you, you probably don't have the gift. There's some people I would like to talk to. Number 4, if it is to encourage, the gift of encouraging people. What a beautiful gift this is. But you see, the problem with us is that we would rather speak in tongues. We would rather prophesy. We would rather have the gift of healing. Gift of encouragement? I know I want that. Let me tell you, in the kind of world we live in now, we need people with the gift of encouragement. We need people to come around and encourage us. Beautiful gift. If it is encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, wow, then give just a little bit. You see, here's another gift that not many people want. Gift of giving, my word, and generously. 10% is hard enough. Sometimes we don't even go 10%. You know what we do? I'm going to preach on tithing now. You remember the concept especially in the Old Testament concerning first fruits. Have you heard first fruits? What was the first fruits? That was the very first, it was a harvest concept, a harvesting. And when they would harvest, the very first day of harvesting, whatever it may be, they took that to the house of God. Do you know what we do? We get our paycheck, we get our money, and we pay all of our bills. And we get down to the bottom, and it's a small number. Oh my. If I give 10%, sayang. You know, I don't know how many of you are going to listen to me. Probably most of you are not going to listen to me. But if you will try. In fact, in Malachi chapter 3, God says, test me. It's the only place you have where God says, put me to the test. Pay your tithes and see if you're not blessed. Give it first. The first fruits. Give your tithes. Give what belongs to the Lord. There's something else. Wow, I got onto this subject, didn't I? You know, if you're making 10,000 pesos a month, you pay 1,000 pesos tithes. Okay, that's not too bad. And then you get promoted and you start making 100,000 a month, and you're supposed to pay 10,000. What? And then you get a bonus, something happens and you make 1,000,000 pesos, and I'm supposed to pay 100,000 to the church? 100,000? That's the way we think. If you do not give God up front what belongs to Him, the full 10%, the rest of it is not going to be blessed. You know, I've said this and people laugh, but it's true. God says, okay, take your money, and you make two piles of money. In this pile, you have 90% of your money. You have it stacked up. And in this pile, you have 10%. And God says, okay, you take which one you want. You didn't get it? You got two piles of money. One is 90%. Over here, you got 10%. You got two. And God says, okay, you take which one you want, and I'll take the other one. Are you going to take the 10% and let God have the 90%? You see how great God is? How gracious He is? He says, you take 90%. I only want 10%. Only give 10% to the Lord's work, to the house of the Lord. God is great. He could say, okay, the tithes is 90%. Wow. We'd lose all of our members.